Have you ever noticed how all the coastal design advice out there sounds exactly the same? Paint everything white and blue, add some nautical accessories, keep it light and airy, and throw in a few shells, and somehow that's supposed to create the sophisticated coastal look you're dreaming of. As a designer, this has always frustrated me because what most people are being taught as coastal design is really just coastal theming. And there's a huge difference between the two. In design school, we learn to create a genuine sense of place. This means capturing the spirit of a location or lifestyle without using literal decorations. However, when it comes to coastal design, all that nuanced thinking gets thrown out the window, and many typically default to the same predictable blue and white formula. The problem is, following that typical advice will get you a room that looks coastal, but it won't give you that sophisticated, elevated feeling you see in those stunning luxury coastal homes that make you stop scrolling and think, I want to live there. What I've realized over the years of designing coastal spaces is that the most beautiful and sophisticated coastal interiors I have ever seen hardly resemble the traditional themed coastal aesthetic. They don't rely on obvious beach motifs or the standard color palette everyone expects. Instead, they use actual design principles, the ones they don't teach you in blog posts, to create spaces that feel connected to the coast in a profoundly deeper, more sophisticated way. They capture the emotional experience of coastal living rather than just the visual symbols. The difference between coastal casual and coastal elegance isn't about budget. It's about understanding how to apply fundamental design theory to create authentic luxury rather than following surface-level decorating rules. Hey there, and welcome to FABB by Design. As an interior designer who's spent years studying what creates sophisticated luxury coastal spaces, not just the Pinterest pretty ones, but the ones that feel transformative to live in, I want to share what I've learned about making that shift from typical coastal advice to true coastal elegance. Today, we're going beyond the standard decorating tips to talk about the actual design principles that create those breathtaking coastal spaces you see in luxury magazines. Because once you understand the theory behind sophisticated coastal design, you'll never look at it the same way again. Let's dive into what authentic coastal luxury actually looks like. To upgrade the casual coastal cottage aesthetic into a luxurious interior, you must start with higher quality materials and finishes. Hear me out. You can still use the natural, beautiful materials the casual coastal cottage style is known for, but choose more luxurious versions to elevate the look. Do you know how everyone automatically thinks wicker furniture when they think coastal? Here's the design problem with that cheap wicker everywhere. It's not authentic to actual coastal living. Historically, real coastal homes were built with materials that could withstand the effects of salt, air, and humidity. Instead, look for high-quality rattan that's tightly woven with raffia. These are materials that thrive in coastal climates. The difference is incredible. It has what we call material integrity, meaning it's honest to its environment rather than just decorative. The same principle applies to textiles. Belgian flax linen and cashmere blends aren't just more expensive. They're materials that age beautifully in coastal humidity, just like they would in an authentic seaside setting. But here's where absolute luxury happens. It's all about layering different textures together. In design, we call this creating tactile contrast. Pairing smooth surfaces with rough ones, soft with firm. Picture smooth marble paired with rough sisal, soft cashmere throws over weathered wood furniture. This contrast creates visual interest, making spaces feel rich and sophisticated rather than flat and uninviting. Let's talk about your walls, since they can have the most significant impact on your finances. If you want to elevate your space, consider plaster or lime-washed walls. I know that might sound intimidating, but the texture they create is gorgeous. If plaster feels like too big a project right now, grasscloth wallpaper is a fantastic alternative. It gives you that organic textural look while still feeling elevated and intentional. The beauty of coastal luxury lies not just in what you choose, but in knowing when to stop. As you upgrade your materials, remember, embrace the transformative power of a less is more approach in high-end coastal design. In professional design, we establish a visual hierarchy indicating that some elements are more significant than others, and every component has deliberate visual weight. Instead of cluttering shelves with an array of trinkets, a luxury coastal room can be elevated with a few carefully chosen, larger-scale, artful pieces. When styling surfaces, use the rule of triangles, grouping objects in odd numbers at varying heights to create visual movement. And if you're incorporating natural elements like driftwood, opt for a single spectacular piece rather than a collection of small ones.
Feel the warmth of the summer. I get lost in the colors, golden hours in your eyes.
Now let's talk about color. And this is where I want to completely shift your perspective using a fundamental design principle. I'm not saying you need to abandon blue and white if that's what you love, but I want to show you how to use those colors more sophisticatedly by broadening your coastal palette beyond just those two colors. In design school, we study color psychology and genuine palettes, drawing color inspiration from the real environment rather than what we believe it should look like. The most sophisticated coastal homes I've seen use blue and white as accents within a richer, more complex palette, because coastal environments offer much more than just those two colors. Think about what you actually see at the shore. There's the warm gold of driftwood, the soft gray of weathered stone, the deep charcoal of wet rocks, the creamy whites of shells with hints of pink and peach. This is an authentic coastal palette, one that reflects the real complexity of seaside environments. When you utilize these nuanced, earthy tones as your foundation and then incorporate blue and white as thoughtfully selected accents, something magical occurs. Your space develops what we call visual sophistication. It feels grounded and intentional rather than themed. Kathy Kuo explains in Homes and Gardens magazine that navy blue, teal, and ecru will feel very stately and upscale in a coastal scheme. For instance, in a living room, you might have white walls and a light sand-colored sofa, but include a pair of sleek navy velvet armchairs or a teal lacquered console table. These richer colors evoke the ocean's depth and lend a more luxe palette to the space. Small touches, such as dark indigo piping on a pillow or an accent wall painted in a smoky blue-gray, can elevate the overall look. The key is moderation. These bold tones should complement, not overpower, the serene coastal ambiance. In 2025, we're excited to see vibrant shades like coral and seafoam making a splash in elegant designs, bringing a cheerful burst of color that beautifully complements the calming atmosphere. Let's discuss furniture strategy, as this is where we can truly apply authentic coastal living principles rather than just incorporating coastal themes. To achieve that elevated coastal look, we want to create what designers call stylistic balance. blending comfortable lived-in pieces with furniture that features cleaner lines and architectural presence. This reflects how people live in coastal environments. They want comfort for relaxed seaside living, but they also appreciate beautiful, well-crafted design. So keep that slip-covered sofa because it represents authentic coastal comfort. But pair it with something more structured, like a mid-century chair with a sleek silhouette or a piece with a beautiful custom wood frame. Here's a specific example of moving beyond coastal theming. Instead of dining chairs with casual rush seats, those woven grass ones that feel very rustic and themed, choose chairs with sleek, woven leather seats. Both are natural materials, but one feels authentic to sophisticated coastal living, while the other feels decorative. However, one of my favorite professional techniques is creating visual tension through contrast. You can keep the weathered wood table you love, as it represents an authentic coastal patina, but hang modern metal pendant lights above it, or add upholstered host chairs at the ends for a more refined touch. This contrast between organic and refined elements creates sophisticated, collected over time luxury, rather than everything looking like it came from the same catalog. This approach creates spaces that feel like they reflect an authentic coastal lifestyle, not just a coastal theme. Also, pay attention to architectural details. Adding classic millwork, built-in cabinetry, or coffered ceilings can instantly make a cottage-style interior feel more high-end and refined. A hallmark of luxury design is great lighting. In a coastal cottage context, this means swapping out plain ceiling fans or simple fixtures for statement lighting that exudes coastal glamour. For instance, consider a capiz shell chandelier that casts a beautiful glow, adding sparkle and a subtle nautical nod. Or a large rattan pendant light that serves as a sculptural focal point. Opt for warm-tone bulbs for a soft ambiance in the evenings. Additionally, updating hardware and metals can impart a luxurious feel. Polished nickel or antiqued brass hardware on cabinetry can reference maritime influences, such as boat cleats or portholes, in a refined manner. Fixtures like faucet sets and shower heads in unlacquered brass or matte black add an upscale touch to kitchens and baths while coordinating with the coastal palette. Brass echoes the golden sand. Black adds modern contrast. These finer details signal quality and cohesive design in a subtle yet impactful manner. Thank you kindly for watching. Watch this next video for more inspiration, and remember to live life fabulously.